This is our Algebra 2 review for lessons 1 through 30. Okay, so this is test 6. These are our most missed questions, at least for this class. All right, we're going to hit questions 16, 17, 11, 25, 26, 18, and 21. If you guys want, we can go down through from 1 through. That might be like a more consistent way of doing it. That way I can cover every question between this class and the next class. So, in fact, let's do that. We'll start and go through it question by question. Now, we don't have too much of a problem with, even like the first 10, but we're going to cover what we can cover. Let's see. I think, nope, this isn't what we want. I want to make sure we've got the right test, though. This one right here? Okay. All right, so I think we're recording. Yes. All right. So just to talk about some of these things, it says identify the choice best completes the statement or answers the question. We've got 9xy minus 8y plus 5x plus 7yx minus 2y. Not a whole lot of misses on this. What are we covering with a question like this? Combined like terms. So we won't spend a whole bunch of time. We do want to know that these two are like terms even though the x and y are in different orders. So we want 9xy plus 7yx, which should give us 16xy. So we automatically know we're going to eliminate those options, right? Our next up in terms of like terms are negative 8y and negative 2y. Negative 10y. Okay, so that eliminates this option. I don't want you to do the test like that, though. Do you understand? I don't want you getting the right answer by eliminating wrong answers. That works really good for something like the ACT, but here I want you to know and be able to show the work. Okay? Does that make sense? So it's not that hard a question. You guys can show the work, right? And then we're left with 5x. So we should get A as our answer, but we're showing that addition taking place. Okay? All right. It's question number 1. Okay, question number 2. We're just simply subtracting matrices. So as I come through here, right, what are the dimensions of the new matrix? Obviously, they're all 2 by 2, right? Okay, but we should be able to do this even without, 4 options. We should be able to do this even if there were no multiple choice options, right? All right, so the first set of math is what if I want that spot? Negative 2 minus negative 6, okay, which is what? 4, because it's negative 2 plus 6, so I should get 4. 6, all right, if I want this spot right here, what is that math? 6 minus negative 9, which is? 15. Okay, so we got 4, 15. What is this math here? 9 minus negative 6, which comes out as plus plus, 15 again. Okay, and finally, negative 2 minus negative 7, 5. Okay, so we know how to show the work on all of that, because I'm not going to work under the assumption that everybody got that question right. Okay, because the moment that they throw in that subtraction, and they've got all these negatives. Now we're working with a whole bunch of double negatives that we need to turn into addition. Okay? All right. Let's see. So what, A was our answer there? Okay. All right. Question number 3. Calculate the percent change from 60 to 45. What is our formula for this question? New minus original over original. What is the original number? Okay, so that's the first challenge, all right? The original number is always the first number, okay? So I've got 60 and 60, so I'm taking 45 minus 60, and that should make sense to us, because if I'm going from a big number to a smaller number, shouldn't I be decreasing, right? So I should be getting a negative value, right? What am I getting, like negative 15 over 60? All right, but we want that as a decimal. What's that going to come out to as a decimal? Negative 0.25, which is 25% decrease. Okay? 25% decrease. And be really careful because it's really easy to have all the right math and see increase and just pick the wrong thing because it's the same number, right? All right, and if you don't do a good job of showing your work and you can't verify that you actually meant decrease, right? This right here is not enough to prove to me that you meant decrease, okay? If you click this, right, the only way I'm going to overturn your wrong answer is if you show me 25% decrease on your paper, okay? Negative 0.25 is not enough. I won't overturn it. Does that make sense? Go ahead. I would probably overturn it if you show negative 25%. Yes. Okay. All right, but make sure that there's enough on your paper to prove your answer. Okay? Because a couple of things happen. Say you're blatant dibble, and for some reason, when you hit submit, it doesn't submit, right? And all I have is your work. Well, if all I have is your work to grade, by all means, you better have answers and work on there. Does that make sense? You better show it. Okay? Because a lot of times, I've overturned answers on your paper because you simply selected wrong, but you had the right answer on your paper, right? A number of you have had that happen. All right, number 4 is just like number 1. All we're doing is combining like terms, right? So I'm going to make our arrows again. 8x goes to what? Hold on. Oh, that's a z here. Okay. I was like, that looks like an equal sign from here. 8x and negative 4x, which is 4x. Okay. 5z and 3z is 8z, and 6 by itself. Okay. 4x plus 8z plus 6. C comes out as your answer. Okay. Show the work. Trying to remember what the name of that movie was. Can't think of it now. Had Tom Cruise, and at the end of it, he says, "Show me the money." Nobody remember. It's a football movie. I can't think of what it is now. But anyway, when it comes to that line, it's "show me the work." Okay, show me the work. I can't think of what it is. It has Renee Zellweger in it. All right. All right, so here you see the same thing as that 2 by 2 plus 2 by 2 matrix. Jerry Maguire, there it is. I'm glad this is on the recording now, this question about Jerry Maguire. All right, same thing that's taking place here, right? What 2 answers can I eliminate, though? Does anybody know? A and C, right? We can eliminate A and C because we know if we're adding a 2 by 3 to a 2 by 3, we're going to get a 2 by 3, okay? So... right, what am I doing to get that position right there? Adding what? 4 and 6 and getting 10, okay? Which would tell me, if I was taking the ACT, it would tell me that B is my answer, right? But because I'm taking a test for Mr. Wilcox, what does he expect? Right? He wants it all because all you're asking to do is add 2 numbers 6 times, right? You're in high school. Can you add 2 numbers 6 times? Yes. Okay. Negative 7 plus 2 is negative 5. 4 plus 1 is 5. Right? And I don't want just this, right? You're showing me that you know how to add 2 numbers, right? Because I want to see that you know which numbers to add. 8 plus negative 9. Negative 1. 7 plus 4. 11. Negative 4 plus 0. Negative 4. Okay? You guys can do that? Great. So far, it seems like kind of an easy test, right? Yeah. Hopefully. All right, 6 wants you to solve for H. Subtract 12 on both sides, someone says. Subtract 12. So you got 4H equals what? 1 minus 39H. Plus 39 what? H plus 39H. Okay, 4 h equals negative 1 divided by 43. H equals negative 1 over 43. Now, what I might do on something like this is eliminate all of the options and make this a you have to type it in answer. Right? If I do that, what I am expecting is exactly this. Not negative 1 over 43, because I asked you to solve for h, right? I expect to see h equals negative 1 dash, or sorry, hyphen, well not hyphen, dash, 43. Okay? So I reserve the right to eliminate multiple choice options and leave you with just you have to solve. Okay? All right, number 7. Now, on a question like this, I think the easiest way to solve this is by getting rid of the fractions. All right, do you guys know how to get rid of the fractions? Multiply what by 11? Everything, right? So 11 times 9 is 99. 99 divided by 11 is 9, right? So I get 9v minus 33 times 11. That's going to be probably a sizable number because I don't, 33 times 10 is 330 plus another 33. 363. 363 equals probably what? Negative 5? Okay, negative 5v minus 66. That to me is a lot easier to solve than to mess with the fractions, right? So if you solved it the other way, fine. If you got the right answer, fine, right? I'm just trying to give you more options, right? I would add 5v to both sides, okay, and add 363 to both sides. Okay, what's 9v plus 5v? 14v, and what's negative 66 plus 363? What? 297, they say. Divide by 14. V equals 21 and 3/14. Okay. Okay.
What if we put both? Like we put 297 over 14 and 21 over 3.
Good. Yeah. And yeah, either as a mixed number or as an improper fraction, either one. Okay. As often as possible, make sure that you are reduced, though. Okay. Okay, we're good there. Okay, goal is to get past 10 questions. Well, let's see, there's 26. Let's at least get to, my goal is to at least get to 13 questions in this class. All right, this shouldn't be too bad. At a constant rate, distance varies directly as the time elapsed. So we'll talk about direct variation. Okay, distance, let's see, at a constant rate, distance varies as time elapsed. Okay, let's see. Well, distance equals rate times time, or rate over time. Or sorry, no, rate times time. Right. The speed of sound in air is 335 feet per second, so we would change that with rate, right? So we would get distance equals 335 t, okay? And yes, so now you're replacing distance with 11,725 equals 335 t. Now you're just simply dividing by 335 on both sides. 35 equals t, or t equals 35. Okay? And that's the proper work to show. Okay? You can't come up with 35 seconds out of nowhere. You understand? Okay? That's the most frustrating thing for me, is that if you do something in your head or you do something on your calculator, but whenever it comes to showing work on your paper, you have numbers coming from nowhere. Right? Or it's very clear that you've memorized the answer because it's the same question on the test that was on the review, and hey, I know what the right answer is, but I have no idea how to find it. You won't get credit, okay? So that's why we're writing things down today, correct? Right, as much as you can. And if you can't get it written down in the time that we have, you're going back and you're watching the video and writing it down from the video. Okay, find a product. All right, this is, we're getting into some of the tougher questions here, right? Finding the product. The very first thing I have to do with this is determine what the dimensions of each matrix are. What are the dimensions of matrix A? No, not 2 by 3, 3 by 2. What are the dimensions of matrix B? 2 by 3. So what are the dimensions of A times B? 3 by 3. Okay? So I'm going to get something like this. Now, again, if I was taking the ACT, I could get rid of that, right? And honestly, if I was taking the ACT, notice how this one and this one are exactly the same. So I'd be better off to solve for that, right? Because there's a difference. So only one of them can be correct. And if neither of them is correct, then I know, well, granted, we already know it's not possible, right? Because, right, the center two numbers are the same. So it's obviously possible. So it's got to come down between either A and D. But, right, for Mr. Wilcox, I can show at least a little bit more work. So let's say this, all right, in terms of the expectation for a question like this on the test, I want at least 3 positions being shown. Can you do that for me? Instead of doing all 9, I want at least 3, okay? In fact, what I want is I want 1 from each row and 1 from each column. You know what I mean? So for instance, that would be something like this, right? Can you do that? All right. So if I want to find this position here, how do I do that?
5 times 8.
5 times 8
Plus 6 times 2.
plus 6 times 2. Very good. So 5 times 8 is 40 plus 12. So I should get 52, which we knew we were going to get, right? But at least this way we verify that we know what we're doing, right? Okay, let's move on to this center position. All right, 2 times 0, good. All right, 2 times 0 plus 3 times 6. Good. I feel like you guys have kind of gotten the hang of this a little bit, right? Okay, so it's just 18, right? Okay. Well, honestly, both of them have an 18 there, correct? Oh, so we have a problem, don't we? Because they're all the same.
If you want to do the second one next to it, 2 times 8.
Do they have any other differences then? Right. Right, you could go here, okay? So let's say this. Let me, I'll broaden this out and I'll say any 3 positions, okay? Any 3 positions. So if you want to do, I'm trying to look at one that's different. Let's try this one right here. What is that math?
5 times -3.
No, 4 times 8 plus 0 times 2.
Okay, 4. All right, we're doing this.
8.
We're doing that one, so it's 5 times -3.
No, it's negative.
It is, okay, so there's some confusion here. This is the third row. So we need third row,
Oh,
first column. Negative 4 times 8 plus 0 times 2. So it's just negative 4 times 8. Negative 32. Okay? So we know it's this. But we're going to find at least 3 positions. We're clear here. Okay. Any questions before we move off of that? Okay. Remember that when we are multiplying, right, we're going to look at this position over here, and we're going to determine first what row I need. And the row comes from the first matrix. This is our row matrix. And this is our column matrix. Okay, so whenever I go to find a position, first I'm looking, if I'm going to try to find this, I'm going to say this is row 1, column 3. So I'm going to go row 1, column 3 to find that position. All right, just as a reminder on how we do that. Come on. There we go. All right. That was 9, 10. Do we remember how to find the determinant? Okay, do we want to see real quick? Okay, so we start with 5. 5 times 10, let's see, 10 times 0 minus negative 2 times negative 1, correct? Okay, what's next? Minus what? Negative 3 times,
Yeah, 6 times 0. The minus negative
oh, hold on, 1, minus
1
1 times negative 1, okay? And then 2,
you add
okay, good, we add, okay? And what was that? I've kind of crossed it out already. 2, negative 2, right? Minus 1 times 10. All right, if you can set that up, then you can solve it, right? Okay. Setting it up is our biggest obstacle. Okay? Big thing is minus, then plus. Okay? Do we want to go through the rest of it, or is the setup enough? Setup is enough. Okay. Okay, solve the inequality. Notice that this inequality has absolute value, so how many solutions am I going to get? 2. All right, what do I have to do before I can solve an absolute value? Isolate the absolute value. How do I isolate this absolute value? Add 9. All right, so I've got x minus 10 is less than what? 8. And x minus 10 is greater than negative 8. Okay, now what? What do I want to do over here on the left? Add 10. So x is less than, okay, over here, add 10. X is greater than 2. All right, so x is less than 18. It's greater than 2, right? Open circle or closed circle? Open circle, right? Is this going to be a conjunction or a disjunction? Do you even know what I mean? Conjunction means they come together, okay? Disjunction means they go apart. So it should be a conjunction from 2 and 18, right? That's clearly not A, so we're looking at C. We could see that from kind of multiple vantage points, right? Why C works, okay? You have like a very like scowly face. Does it make sense? Okay. Yes. When would it be a disjunction? It would be a disjunction if it came out to something like x is less than 2 and x is greater than 18. Right? If it's greater than the big number and it's less than the smaller number, they're going to go in opposite directions. Okay? That's when we would get a disjunction. Come on. All right, number 12. What time? We're out of here at like 31? Okay, so we're doing okay. All right, we want f times g of x. So this is that advanced FOIL, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to end up kind of like muddying the works here to do this. 4x squared plus 3x minus 5 times negative 2x plus 12. Okay, I always like to start with like the less complicated of the two sides. In this case, that's negative 2x. And go ahead and show my arrows going to all three. Okay, negative 2x times 4x squared is negative 8x cubed. Okay, and all of them have a negative 8x cubed. All right, let's keep going. Negative 2x times positive 3x. Negative 6x squared, and negative 2x times negative 5, positive 10x. Okay, and I like to say positive and negative with those numbers so I know what symbol to put out in front. All right, now what are we distributing? 12. Positive 12 to everything. Okay, So what is 12 times 4x squared? Positive 48x squared. Okay, 12 times 3x plus 36x. And 12 times negative 5 minus 60. Okay? All right. Yep, combine like terms. So we're looking for values that have the same variable to the same exponent. Negative 8x cubed stays lonely. What does negative 6x squared go with? 42x squared, correct? Okay, 10x goes with to be 46x minus 60. Okay? We're good there. We understand what's going on. Okay? All right, so this is, whenever I'm putting work up here, for the most part, that's what I'm expecting to see on your paper. Okay? So if you can show it like that, great. Granted, you're probably not going to use like colored pencils to show all the fun different colors, but right, you should have your arrows helping yourself out. Okay. Factor. This is the exact opposite of what we were doing. All right, look at all the terms there. What can I take out of all of those terms to start with? I can probably take out a 4, okay? That's going to put that 4 on the outside, leaving me with x squared. What's negative 56 divided by 4?
14,
negative 14x, and 196 divided by 4 is probably what, 49?
Yeah.
Positive 49. So we're not done yet here. We can factor this part of it on down, right? X's, okay, I've got minus and plus, so what should be on the inside?
Negative and negative.
Negative and negative, all right, things that add or multiply to be 49 but add up to 14. 7 and 7. Notice that those are the same thing, right? So I should get 4x minus 7 squared because it's the same thing times itself, okay? Does that make sense? So we'd get A on that, okay? All right. Can anybody tell me what the term for number 14 is? Ahmet? What? No, it's not a perfect square. The solution is something, it's a sum difference. How do I identify a sum difference? Anybody know? Okay. Well, a sum difference, okay, notice that the number in front of that x squared is 1. Is 1 a perfect square? Yes, okay, minus a perfect square with no x. Now there's an x squared, but there's no x, okay? So if I see a perfect square, x squared, minus a perfect square, right, that's going to be something plus or minus itself, okay? Meaning the square root of that, square root of that, square root of that, okay? So it's going to be this. X plus 9, x minus 9. Okay? Now, before I move off of it, what can I always do to make sure I got the right answer? Foil it back out, right? And see if I get x squared minus 81. What's happening? Why is there not an x value? Right, because I got a 9x and a negative 9x, which canceled out, so it left me with no x value in the middle, which is how I know it's a sum difference, right? If there's no x value in the middle, right, and there's a minus in the middle, right, it's going to be a sum difference. Does that help us out a little bit? Okay. So a good use of work there is actually to FOIL it back out. All right, what is the equation of the line that passes through those 2 points? All right, this involves multiple steps, okay? Because we want the y-intercept form of this. So this actually involves 2 equations, okay? Does anybody know what 2 equations I'm going to use to solve this? Okay, Cole, give me one of them. That's going to be the second one. But before I can use point slope form, what formula do I have to use? Ahmet? Do you know? Okay. Rosalind? Don't know? Calejo? Well, we're solving for slope-intercept form. Go ahead. Find the slope, which is what formula?
y2 minus 1.
y2 minus y1 over
x2 minus
x2 minus x1. Once I have that, then I'm going to use y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Okay, those are the two formulas I need here. Okay? Does that make sense? So I need two formulas to solve this. What I would do off the beginning of this is I would go ahead and label 2, negative 7, 6, and 1 as, my x1, y1, x2, y2. Okay? What is 2? x1, 7? Good. 6? Okay, so let's go ahead and set this up. What's y2? 1 minus negative 7. Okay, x2 minus 2. Okay, so I got 1 what? What's my 8 over 4, which is 2. So I have a slope of 2. So whenever I go to plug that in, it goes here, correct? Okay, and I get x minus what? 2. Okay, and I get y minus what? Negative 7. So I got y plus 7 equals 2x minus 4. Right? I'm going to do some multiple steps in here. What's my final step? Subtract 7 from. Okay, so I got y equals 2x minus what? Y equals 2x minus 11. Y equals 2x minus 11. You can't just pick the right answer. You have to show your work. And work means solving both equations. First, the slope form, right? Then the point slope formula. Okay?
Flip it around.
Okay? Flipped it around.
I flipped negative 7.
Okay, so that's fine. If you flip negative 7 to 1 around, you also have to make sure that you flip 2 and 6 around. Okay, yeah, that would be wrong. And that's going to give you the wrong answer. You can do y1 minus y2 so long as you do x1 minus x2. That order doesn't matter, but it does matter that the order stays the same top and bottom. Okay? All right, questions on 15? Okay. 16, identify any excluded values and simplify the expression. Okay, it's easy to find the excluded value first. Does anybody know what we do to find the excluded value? Okay, it seems like I've got like 3 people. Okay. No? All right, let's think about things that can't happen whenever I put them in a calculator. Right? What are some things that I can't do? Right, I can't have 0 in the denominator. I can't divide by 0. So that's the rule that we're going to use here because we have division. So how do I find out what value for b is going to cause the denominator to equal 0? Continue to go. 7b plus 5 is not allowed to equal 0. Okay, what's your next step after that? Somebody else. Kylie, what do you do after this? Subtract 5 from both sides. So what are we saying? We're saying what? Cannot equal negative 5. Okay, finally. Subtract 7. No, we don't subtract 7. Divide by 7. All right, so b cannot equal negative 5/7. Okay, now notice here real quick that there are 2 of those. Or, well, not really, right? So looking at this, right, negative 5/7. So the next thing that we do after this, right, even though we have this, right, you could say, hey, I know that's the right answer because it's the only one that has negative 5/7 for the excluded value. Great. I still want to know that you know how to simplify an expression. Does that make sense? Okay. What can I take? Let's see. I'm trying to think of what I can do here. All right. What can I factor out of the top? 7. And that's going to give me what? 7b plus 5. But I have 7b plus 5 on the bottom, right? So what happens to the 7b plus 5? they cancel out, and I'm left with 7, right? That's how I show that. That's how I get to just 7. Okay? I don't care that it shows 7 as being the simplified form. I want you to show me how is 7 is the simplified form. Does that make sense? Okay? I want to know what you know. That's the purpose of the test. What have you learned? Okay? That is probably our time. We covered exactly as many as we had to. Okay, I'll pick it up with the other class from 17 on down. Okay? We'll stop right there. What's that?